This may be the only case in the world where someone was caught on a garbage truck audio tape plotting a crime. It also may be one of the only, if only, case where a lawyer stood up and called his client an idiot in open court. This is the case of Jose-Soto-Escalara. Christine Gavin was driving along a road in St. Lucie County, Florida on August 24, 2018, when she glimpsed something out her window. At first, she thought it was a bag, but it nagged at her. She turned her car around to investigate further, and she found the body of a 23-year-old woman lying in a drainage ditch. She called 911. Law enforcement found Tania Wise lying face down in a ditch. Tania was 8.5 months pregnant. Someone had slashed her throat nearly to the spine, and the top of her head had been shattered by a brutal blow. Tania's last moments could not have been easy. Her left hand was clenched tightly, grasping at grass. Her clothing was wet, and she had vomited. There was more, but we're going to leave it at that. Tania's mother told the jury that Tania had already named her unborn son Josiah Thomas. She couldn't wait for him to be born, but Josiah died along with Tania, and the hunt began for the person who had killed Tania and her baby. Law enforcement found a witness who had seen a truck in the area where the body was found just the night before. The truck had stood out because it was creeping along slowly with its lights off. Who would want to kill Tania Wise? Police set out to figure that out. As we dive in, please like the video and subscribe for more. Tania's mother explained that Tania had a couple of boyfriends, and one of those other boyfriends had been violent with her. But Tania also had a relatively new acquaintance, Jose-Soto-Escalara, the defendant in this case. I'm going to call him Jose. Jose had met Tania through one of her boyfriends, the one Tania's mom thought was violent. Jose denied having an intimate relationship with Tania. He told police his relationship with Tania was completely platonic. To try to identify the father of Tania's baby, police took DNA swabs from several men. Testing confirmed that despite Jose's claims that Tania and he had a purely platonic relationship, Tania was carrying Jose's baby. It turned out that Jose was married, and prosecutors say he had given Tania money to abort the baby, but she had not done it. And now he was facing the fact that she was about to out their affair by giving birth to his child. Of course, the fact that Jose fathered the baby doesn't mean he killed Tania. Police needed evidence that would link someone to the murder. Police tested Jose's Dodge Ram truck and hit pay dirt. A piece of carpet cut from the driver's side tested positive for Tania's blood. Police also discovered that in the summer of 2018, Jose began asking around about buying an off-the-record ghost gun. But there was one piece of evidence that immediately and all by itself brought the case to a screeching close, and that evidence came from a garbage truck. Jose drove a garbage truck for a living, and his nephew was assigned as his assistant, so they rode in the truck together. You might think of garbage trucks as older, beaten up vehicles, but unfortunately for Jose, this garbage truck was a masterpiece of technology and innovation. Jose was driving a Waste Pro garbage truck 1363, and of all the rotten luck for him, it was equipped with 4 cameras and a microphone to record both audio and video. The garbage company rep testified that the mic is aimed at the person in the driver's seat, so it picked up that voice most clearly. And of course, Jose was the driver. Now, you have to figure that Jose didn't realize the microphones were there, or maybe figured no one would take the time to listen to them. Maybe he was banking on the fact that the 2 men were speaking in Spanish. But none of those things helped Jose. Law enforcement tracked down the garbage truck and discovered a bombshell recording of Jose planning the crime. At trial, the prosecution had the audio tape turned into a transcript in English. The prosecution used two people to read through the transcript back and forth like a real conversation. A man read Jose's part and a woman read the nephew's part. It is one of the most damning recordings I've ever heard. And now you are about to hear the most jaw dropping excerpts from it. In order to win, the prosecution has to prove every legal element of murder. And in these conversations, Jose handed every legal point to the prosecution on a silver platter. Let's listen to some of those excerpts, and I'll talk about why they created an impossible hurdle for the defense at trial. Prosecutors believe that Tania Wise was killed on the night of August 23, 2013, and dumped in the drainage ditch. But the garbage truck recordings show that 2 days before Tania was killed, Jose was plotting the crime in gruesome detail. He clearly wanted to get away with this crime. He talked at length about how he could avoid video cameras.
You got to make sure there's no cameras.
Right, there's a camera.
That's where the traffic, though. It's looking down.
It's incredibly ironic that Jose was so worried about being captured on video cameras on the street while he was sitting inside a truck filled with state-of-the-art audio recorders that were picking up the entire murder plan. Jose doesn't use Tania's name, but it was not hard to figure out who was about to go down. He talked about a woman pregnant with his child, and he was very clear about just why he wanted her gone and what he would do to make sure it happened.
She's pregnant from that little that works there. She says it's mine, supposedly. I can't take chances. I lose everything. No, I am telling you the truth. If something happens to me, you already know. I'm going to blow her brains out so she doesn't talk. I have to do it, Eric. I have no other choice. I'm going to lose everything. What I need is someone to drive me. She was nagging that she was pregnant by him. She says it's not his. If my wife found something out like that, oh my God, bro. I lose everything, bro. Unintelligible. Brief pause. I have his spot. I already have her. I'm telling you the truth. I've already prepared her well. I told her that there are some people that want to pay her because she unintelligible. And she asked me, will you go with me because I don't know them? I told her, yeah, I'll go. Throw me a couple bucks my way. You know what I'm saying? I have to find a spot and dump her there.
He doesn't just talk about what he's going to do in general. He gives graphic details, and he says he has to do it because she's pregnant and his wife can't find out. If his lawyers had wanted to argue that he didn't realize that his mistress was pregnant, this cut off that option. He made it clear that the fact that she was pregnant was the reason she needed to die. But Jose also wanted to get away with the crime. So right there on audio, he planned his steps. In a capital murder trial, a prosecutor has to prove premeditation and intent, that the defendant planned the crime in advance, intending to commit it. Jose made the prosecution's job very easy in this case, as he plotted out the steps he would take to keep the police from figuring out he is the one who did it.
I'm just saying, little by little, I'll throw away all the clothes, or I burn them or wash them with Clorox. If I use my truck, I'll cover the plates.
Jose begins to plan exactly how to go about the murder. Very explicitly plan how to go about the murder.
Call her outside, unintelligible, by telephone and blow her brains out there. You know what I mean? And take the phone. She's already fucked with me. Have her fall into the quarry and all that. I need you to help me do that. I'll leave you at the quarry.
This is exactly what the prosecution needed to show premeditation, planning the crime in advance. In the end, what they are planning does not end up matching exactly what happened in the case. Tania did not fall into a quarry. She was not shot. Somebody whacked her on the head instead. But Jose is methodically considering what exactly he will do to accomplish his end.
I'm supposed to pick her up one of these days. That is why I'm telling you. If you drive, I blow her head off there in a drive-by. It's good back there.
Remember that they're unintelligible.
Ah, but unintelligible. You put the barrel in her mouth and unintelligible. That's it, bro. She won't get up ever again. Dead people don't talk. And if there's no evidence, what are they going to do? No one is going to find out it was us.
Unintelligible.
I have it already. Gloves, everything, everything, everything.
Jose and the nephew are talking 2 days before Tania was killed. And Jose is admitting that he has already taken steps toward this crime. He is already gathering supplies for the murder, and not just for the murder, but for what he needs to get away with it to make sure he never is held accountable by law enforcement. He's collecting gloves and, quote, everything. One plan he floats, which for all we know could be the one they actually used, was to arrange to ride in a car with Tania driving, and he would get his nephew to hop into the back seat and pretend to rob them.
I'll go pick her up. I'll pick you up first and I'll drop you off at the corner somewhere. You get in the back of the truck and you'll say, drive, like if you're robbing me first. And I'll tell you where, unintelligible. I'll call you.
Ultimately, Jose wants to pick a field to dispose of the body, which could fit with the actual crime.
There's a field nearby in Saint Unintelligible. There's a field there. We don't have to go too far to unintelligible.
Jose feels sure that no one will figure this out. And even if law enforcement does become suspicious, he is utterly confident that they will never be able to prove he is the one behind this.
Oh, I won't even get to that because nobody will know anything. You can't prove anything if no one saw anything. Unintelligible. I was thinking of taking her to some field nearby the route. And I'll take her phone, unintelligible, and I'll throw it away. I'll throw it away or I'll burn it. They can't do anything there, unintelligible. I have everything planned out. I'm going to let her drive because I have unintelligible. She doesn't drive and use a phone for texting or nothing. I'll play dumb. You know what I'm saying? I'll sit in the back like we're going to do something. You know what I'm saying? What do you think is easier to, unintelligible? Inside the bushes or outside and then dump her? First, right? Then hit her and then dump her, right?
Unintelligible.
And in a nutshell, that fits with what happened to Tania Wise. Someone whacked her on the head, someone dumped her in a ditch. The garbage truck recording has given the prosecution all the material they need to convict Jose. Remember that the prosecution has to prove Jose planned the crime. And of all the amazing good fortune for the prosecution, Jose actually says, I have everything planned out. Jose is banking on the fact that Tania hasn't told anyone that the baby is his.
She hasn't told anyone. She is letting the thinks it's his. See what I am saying? She hasn't dared to tell Debbie anything because she doesn't want to do that. You get what I'm saying? She's trying to help me.
Jose figures if no one suspects he's the father, they won't suspect he's the killer. And somewhere way in the back of his mind, he must be feeling just a little bit of guilt, but not enough to stop him from doing what he does next.
No one should know this. No one. Why do you think I didn't want to go to church?
Damn.
Chuckles.
So it's 2 days before the murder, and he has laid out his plan, including where to do it and what weapon to use.
As you can see, there aren't any lights here. Do you notice you can't see anything here? Simply a street like that one. That's closed off. The good thing about that one doesn't. The one doesn't leave a trace. So it can be anyone. In that way, unintelligible, the barrel there, but if you don't leave it there, there's no evidence. That's like the automatic that I have. Because the bullets leave the mark, unintelligible, that doesn't leave trace. That doesn't leave a trace.
Tania was killed 2 days later, although not with a gun. And the prosecutor's luck held because on the day of the murder, Jose and his nephew are once again driving in that same garbage truck. So the jury got to hear the transcript as Jose finalized plans for the day.
I got everything planned. Go home, get some tools, tell my wife I got to go to work on a bike real quick. See what's wrong with it. Why I won't start. Pick it up. Bring Eric with me. Take it home and pick it up. But unintelligible. And what you're going to do is drive. That's it. That's the spot that looks better so far, right?
Yeah, make sure unintelligible.
What do you think about choking her? Unintelligible.
Huh?
Is it better than a blow and just get it over with, right?
Unintelligible. It would be better.
There are no lights here. There's nothing. Look, nothing.
Jose very much wants to keep his truck clean during this crime process, whether it's because he doesn't want to be caught or if after all those years of moving garbage, he's become a neatnik, we will never know.
I just can't do it unintelligible inside my truck. It won't hurt me if it's not my truck. I got to strangle that bitch. You can't leave no blood or nothing in the truck. I don't want nothing, unintelligible, nothing. If they ever come asking anything, there's nothing. It's like you said it. There's no other way around it. It's like you said. You got to unintelligible and that's it. All the will be over. And the higher up around here, the more they'll blame her boyfriend because they're always fighting.
We can hear that Jose is trying to avoid being caught, but it goes further than that. He also is talking about framing someone else, Tania's boyfriend, for her murder. Apparently, the boyfriend was an easy target because the police already knew that Tania and her boyfriend had a history of fighting.
I have all the cartridges, all of them ready. Whenever you're taking the book bag, I'll drop it off at your house. My shotgun shells are accounted for my new shotgun. I haven't even fired it. So get it. I need someone to drive so I can unintelligible. You know what would make it easier? That she come to pick me up in his car.
Unintelligible.
Bye. And I'll take off in the car to unintelligible. Like in unintelligible. Water somewhere, a house where there's no camera.
Jose also made plans for how to get rid of the evidence.
Do you know what I want to do? To give you the package with all those little shovels. Since you're going to Miami on Saturday, throw the package unintelligible in the trash. Make sure that no one sees you.
And sadly, he plans to trick her into going with them because she trusts him.
It's like I told you, I have to do it because she trusts me. She thinks she's going to make money. I'm going to have the money so she can see it and not think anything of it. I'll leave the money here inside so no one takes it. You know what I'm saying? Really easy. Like that. Walk with me over there and then leave the real quick. I'll, unintelligible, get in the vehicle and leave. I can do it alone. I don't care, but 2 sets of eyes are better. If you keep eyes on things for me, I go in calmly. I take my time like nothing. I remove the ass from the trunk. I remove the unintelligible from the front and unintelligible in case they see me. You never know, unintelligible.
Unintelligible.
Get the keys. No one will see anything. No one will see anything there.
Yeah.
If that wasn't fenced in, I would have done it right there. It's far over here. It's better because over there, nah, you got to. I've already have. I'm making it look like she unintelligible with someone somewhere else. I'm not stupid. I know what I'm doing. So what I need is for someone to drive me so I won't feel panic. I don't. I got too much going on.
Jose seems to pick the exact spot.
Do you see this new street? There's nothing here. There are no cameras. You see? Look, there's nothing here. Here, there's nothing here. Look at this. All this over here is all clean. There are no cameras here anywhere.
The recorded conversation made the prosecution's job easy. To prove murder, the prosecution had to prove that there was an unlawful killing of another human being and that Jose did it. But to prove first-degree murder, the prosecution also had to prove premeditation, that Jose thought about the murder before it happened. and an intent to kill. The recording showed Jose talked about the murder for 2 days and that he'd been planning it even before that. It talked about specific plans about how Jose hoped to get away with it by framing someone else and by making sure he used a dark street and wasn't recorded on a video camera. The defense rested without calling any witnesses, including Jose, who exercised his constitutional right not to testify. In closing arguments and at trial, the defense argued that there had been mistakes in the transcript translation and that the real words showed this wasn't a crime planned out in detail, more like a crime of passion with no premeditation. They said Jose was lying entirely to protect his marriage. He didn't want to admit that he had been unfaithful. He wasn't trying to hide an actual unaliving of someone. And there were plenty of others, Jose's lawyer argued, who should have been investigated more. Other men had means, motive, and opportunity. The jury was not buying it. It took them a grand total of 1 hour to return a verdict of guilty. But in Jose's case, the state of Florida was also seeking the death penalty, which meant that they had to prove an aggravating factor. So the court reconvened 5 days later for the penalty phase as the jury considered the death penalty. The prosecution argued that there were several aggravating factors. They said the crime had been especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel. And it included a victim who was less than 12 years old, the unborn child. They said it had been done for pecuniary gain, in other words, for financial reasons. And Escalara had prior felony convictions that involved violence. Tania Wise's family described for the jury their grief and the impact the murder had had on their lives. Tania's oldest son listed all the life moments his mother would miss in his life, like meeting his girlfriend or watching him in the band. The defense put up several witnesses, including a prison expert who made the bizarre argument that life would be too cushy for Jose on death row. After all, he'd get his own TV, a tablet, and he wouldn't have to do any work at all. Far better, the expert suggested, to put him in the general population to lead a less cushy lifestyle. 2 ex-girlfriends testified that Jose was not violent. One said she lived with Jose for 4 or 5 years and he had been kind and never violent, even when she was mean to him and threw his motorcycle and spit on him. The jury deliberated just 2 hours to decide he deserved the death penalty. Jose had one last place to turn before appeal. The judge has to review and approve the death penalty sentence. Jose had the opportunity to speak, to ask the judge to give him life in prison instead of the death penalty. He used his opportunity instead to ask for a new lawyer, telling the court,
I was asking for your permission, if possible, if I can get him removed from my case because I don't trust him.
The judge pointed out it was a little late in the game to be asking for a new lawyer.
I think there's an expression, we're at the 11th hour. This is probably even beyond that. We're probably at about 11:59 here. We're about to close all of the evidence in your case, which would be submitted to me with the jury's recommendation, whether you should receive the death penalty or life in prison. Counsel has already done his job. They've already completed their work on the case.
Jose referred to an audio recording that happened with a witness. It wasn't clear what it was, but then his counsel got up and laid out what the issue was. The lawyer stood up clearly angry, and he did something I have never seen happen before. He pointed at his client and called his own client an idiot in open court.
I think enough, Judge. I'm going to lay it all out on the record, okay? I think Mr. Soto-Escalara is hurting his situation. He's proceeding in ignorance on the advice of ignorant people. What he is referring to is a Zoom-recorded deposition, the first such deposition I ever did in my life. We had witnessed Lucinda Cook. And before Ms. Cook joined, there was a recording with chit-chat between me and Mr. Richardson about witnesses in the case, about the state of the case, about why I was calling witnesses and not calling witnesses, and complaining about somebody who had Ms. Minton's credit card and was going over the limits, and chit-chatting as counsel do between themselves waiting for a witness. And I don't think people understand the context of how attorneys talk to each other. I think that the witnesses who overheard this, Ms. Lucinda Cook and whoever else she communicated with, think that because this is a capital murder case, me and Mr. Richardson should be like this with our hands around each other's throats every moment. And we were not that way. We were chatting as counsel do in a case. And in a capital case especially, do counsel and adversaries have to communicate frequently and exhaustively to get the thing from start to finish done. That's all that it was. There is nothing in there that was inimical to Mr. Jose-Soto-Escalara's defense, and I defy him or anyone else to point to any action or anything that I did or said at any point in the preparation of this case or in the trial or in the penalty phase that was contrary to his interest. It's nonsense and bullcrap, and that's what he's on about, Judge. So he can feel however he wants. He's an idiot. On this issue, at least.
The judge explained to Jose that that's not how things work.
They're acting as professionals and not constantly cursing and berating each other and putting each other down. That's not the expectation of the court. In fact, we foster the opposite as professionals, that they get along, because once this case is over, they'll be on to a next case, and so will I. And so as professionals, they have to work with each other.
And that's true. That is what lawyers are expected to do. It's part of the process of the legal system. None of this worked for Jose-Soto-Escalara. The jury had recommended the death sentence, and the judge agreed. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.